Pleasant good evening, good afternoon, good morning, or good night, depending on the part of the world where you are located. Once again, it's my pleasure to welcome you to another weekly presentation of our YouTube channel. As you have become aware, we start with a motivational word, and we tell you about our services. We get into the presentation and we remind you about our services at the end. So, my motivational word for today, given the topic I would like to address, is that falling to your lowest sometimes is a blessing in disguise. So if you fall to your lowest point, the next best step is to get up, find out what went wrong, and move forward so that you can become better. So at that point, you can't go any lower, and the only way is up. But of course, you need to do the necessary interrogations so that you will know what went wrong and what you need to do to move forward. So I leave you with that word to ponder on it, because many people are faced with so many difficulties today, and they are the lowest. But once you are alive, there is still hope. So as best as you can, put a plan in place and move forward under divine guidance to a better and brighter day. I also take the opportunity to remind you of our ongoing courses. Our 4-week course entitled The Fundamentals of Public Speaking, costing $1,800 for students and $2,500 for the general public. We also have a 4-week course entitled Mastering Emotional Intelligence and Becoming Emotionally Resilient, priced at $1,800 for students and $2,500 for the general public. You can also do that course in groups of 5, where you pay $7,500 and you benefit from a discount of $1,000, where you will pay $1,500 per head. And of course, there is our ongoing 10-week course entitled The Fundamentals of Psychology, costing $3,800. You can't pay it in one shot, 2 parts, 3 parts, or 4 parts, because we are committed to ensure that you can partake and participate in this course. You can also call us and book a counseling or coaching appointment. Of course, you can support us financially by contributing via the YPay link on the description page. And you can also purchase our book Conversations, priced at 100 TT, 45 EC, or 15 United States dollars. All you need to do is give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. Once we get a call or get an email, we are ready to serve you to the best of our professional ability. And of course, you have been supporting our channel. We remind you to subscribe, remind you to turn on the bell notification, like the video, comment, and of course, share the contents of our presentation. Now, in this channel, or through this channel, you have grown accustomed to developmental discourses on a range of areas: socially, historically, psychologically, economically, spiritually, and otherwise. But today, I will deviate from the normal tenor of my presentation and will speak on an issue that I have been writing on, I will say, for the last 42 years, since I have been a teenager, and that is West Indies cricket. So today marks my debut presentation in speaking about West Indies cricket on this YouTube channel. And like the rest of the Caribbean, like the rest of the cricketing world, with those people who have an appreciation of the contribution and the legacy of West Indian cricket, you know that we are in a very bad place. And as you can see, I'm wearing a red shirt because I can safely say, given the very, untenable state of West Indies cricket, the fans have been bleeding. So this red shirt represents the blood that has been flowing, given the pain that has been inflicted on the West Indian public from the very poor performances from the West Indies team, dating back not even recently, I would say from 1995 to now. The last 27 years, we have been on a steady downward slide. And of course, the whole world is now aware that we didn't even qualify for the main draw of the 2022 World Cup. All right? And that situation is one I want you to really think about carefully. And the title of the presentation, can West Indies cricket go any lower? As I said in my motivational word, when you're at your lowest point, the only point up is up. But we have been at our lowest and sinking even lower for some time now. And when you really think about it seriously, when things are going wrong, you cannot just respond based on an event. So I was a bit, astounded when I heard the president of the West Indies Cricket Board, Mr. Ricky Scarrett, state how embarrassed he was and no stone would be left unturned to investigate what went wrong. But that statement to me was indeed very ludicrous, because last year, as the defending champion, we went out in a whimper, winning 1 of 5 games. This year, we didn't even get past the qualifying rounds. And those of us who have been following West Indies cricket, if we throw back our minds not too far back, even under the stewardship of Brian Lara, Carl Hooper, Jimmy Adams, we have been sliding downwards. We have been, consistently making records by being defeated by unheralded teams. Ireland, a team that has come a long way. Kenya, remember that famous defeat in the World Cup by Kenya when we had a number of stars. So those people who have been elected, we have a current president, Mr. Ricky Scarrett, Vice President Dr. Shallow. You all ran a very nice campaign in getting rid of the very arrogant Dave Cameron. But a nice campaign and winning is just a very small step forward. This board, as the previous boards, have had the benefit of a number of pertinent reports by eminent Caribbean scholars, pointing the way forward in terms of changes that should be made, particularly changing the governance structure of cricket. So we have had the Patterson report, the Webby report, and the Cato report. And recently I heard the president alluding to the fact that during his term, which he has claimed will be his last term, he doesn't see those recommendations coming to fruition. So the problem with our cricket, regardless of who have been appointed captain of whatever team, certainly we can dissect and see that it's definitely a systemic problem. Because we have had recommendations that are not being implemented. We have had a lot of talk about the fans being a major stakeholder. And of course, the fans are definitely one of the main stakeholders, because during the pandemic, we could not have had fans at the stadiums. But without fans, no cricket board can generate revenue. Without fans, there's not the atmosphere that the cricketers require to motivate them to perform. So whatever governance structure that we will eventually arrive at, I am postulating that a fan from every territory, a mechanism must be created where the input of the fans will not just be to come and support the team at various games, but where fans of each cricketing territory can be a member of the West Indies Cricket Board. In that way, the fans are now being placed in the center of decision making. When you go to the fans in a town meeting, that is mere tokenism, because at the end of the day, the fans will offer a lot of beautiful recommendations, and more likely than not, those recommendations will not see the light of day. So, Mr. Scarrett, Dr. Shallow, when you are elected into such a prestigious position, we do not only require populist decisions. For example, replacing Roger Harper with the Honorable Dr. Desmond Haynes. You gave us a very lovely speech. Dr. Desmond Haynes has been a great contributor to our cricket and certainly has our cricket at heart. But because of the systemic nature of the problems that we experience, his mere appointment certainly will not, change the tide. We, as a cricketing nation, we have a few million people residing in the region, so our pool is small. But we still have sufficient talent that can be molded into a proper team. But when you have a situation where over the years and even up to recently, there is constant bickering between players and the board. There is bickering between selectors and players. We all witnessed the recent saga with the Honorable Desmond Haynes making one statement about Evan Lewis and fitness tests. He is saying something else. We had the recent spectacle of Hetmaya, both before missing the 2 flights. I mean, that's certainly a very jokey kind of scenario. Because if you are a committed player, and 2 flights were arranged, and you miss them both, certainly you are not taking the cricket seriously. And to add pain to the already bad state we are in, I read where he turned out for Burbies in a county game in Guyana. So top cricketers are anxious to represent their countries and showcase their talent at the World Cup. And he missed 2 flights and is turning out for a county team in his native Guyana. So when you have those kind of unnecessary noises being made between administrators, selectors, and players, certainly it does not augur well for the development of the game in the region. So we have a policy of this board where they are saying that West Indians first, yet we have a batting coach who is not a West Indian. That is a contradiction and a big joke, right? We have guys, whether they are qualified coaches or not, who know about batting. The great Sir Vivian Richards, the genius Brian Lara, Carl Hooper, Shivnarayan Chandapal. All of these guys have been, masterful exponents of playing spin bowling. Even Marlon Samuels could fall into that category. And we are hearing that our players have been struggling to play spin, not only recently in terms of the qualifying round, or if we go back recently to the matches we played earlier this year in the West Indies, you had the South African spinner Shamsi running rings around our players. So our cricket is in need of serious attention, not because, Mr. Skerritt, of the embarrassment that we all have experienced by not even qualifying, but it's for a very long time now that post-mortem you are speaking about has been long required. So you've got to actively engage the fans. You've got to make proper use of the great resource in those past greats. These guys are generally underutilized, all right? We got to have serious plans in place in terms of the physical development of the game, the mental development of the players, because we are seeing players making the same mistakes over and over. So that has to be a mental deficit, because they talk about, minimizing dot balls and building partnerships, rotating the strike, and yet it is not happening. We are seeing players, being dismissed in a similar way consistently. So certainly that is not a sign of learning. So the overhaul that is required for our cricket is indeed very serious, all right? But we need to spend the time, invest the resources, and really engage stakeholders in a serious way, all right? This whole arrangement with territorial boards appointing people to the West Indies Cricket Board, that is something should be of the past. But so many persons are so caught up with being in positions of authority and lobbying for their islands that it is past being ludicrous at this point in time. So, if it is that you are saying that you are already serious, this action should have been taken a very long time ago, all right? So we need to have a serious physical developmental plan, a mental plan, a financial plan, all right? A historical plan, because at the end of the day, you must be aware of the foundation on which your cricket was built. And if your policy is West Indian first, do not make a joke in not utilizing the great resource of these past greats and the many, outstanding contributors to our cricket. As I said before, the fans must be placed in the center of everything, because without the fans, the cricket really has nowhere to go in terms of revenue generation and in terms of motivation. So the work required will be long and it will be very difficult, but we really need a new kind of thinking. We really need an overhaul. The fans have been battered and still have been willing to support. The players have let us down, but not only the players, the whole system of how the cricket in the West Indies has been managed has failed us. You administrators have failed us also, because at the end of the day, if you cannot produce results, I am saying, vacate your position. As I said in my last YouTube presentation, if you can't deliver, make way for somebody else. If you have a coaching staff who is experiencing the kind of results that we are getting, and the coach is always smiling and talking about disappointment, that is not good enough. You have captains at the end of a defeat is talking about the positives we can take away. How many times we have heard that? You are being defeated, but you're taking away positives. How many times we have heard about going back to the drawing board? Well, the number of times they have gone back to the drawing board, certainly, I don't think there's no longer a board to draw on, because whatever they are designing on the boards, it certainly is not working. So we look at England, they had challenges in not getting the kind of results. They immediately overhauled their coaching staff. So we need decisive leadership. It is one thing to say, yes, let the person serve out their contract. But in competitive sport, we all know, if the coaches are not delivering, they do not wait to serve their contract out. So there are a lot of decisions to be made, and everyone must be brought on board. It will be long and arduous, but even though we are at our lowest, if the right steps are taken, if the commitment and honesty is there to do what is required, we can rise again. But it will be a very, very long road up, because for many years we have been turning the corner, and it appears that we have started to reverse. We are not worried to go around the corner again. We are going in reverse. So this message was on a topic that is very dear to my heart. I know, as committed and concerned West Indian fans, this message has resonated with you. And going forward, why this channel is not committed to speaking exclusively on West Indian cricket, I will give you a commitment. At least once a month, I will do a presentation on West Indies cricket, because I have been a fan from a boy to a grown man, and we have shown the world what we can do in cricket. But right now, we are basically being reduced to a laughing stock, and that certainly is not no joking matter. So as usual, all of you who have not subscribed to this channel, now is the time. Encourage your friends and family to subscribe. Anyone who is coming across for the first time, do not hesitate to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, comment on the video, and of course, we do not only talk about cricket, and we invite you to partake in our ongoing courses. We invite you to book a coaching and counseling appointment, buy our book conversation at 100 TT, 45 EC, or 50 United States dollars. Give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. Can West Indies cricket rise again? Yes, we can, but we need very hard and focused decisions to be made. So in the meantime, between time, stay tuned for another powerful presentation.